Reference will be in the description. As always, amazing gameplay and routing to learn from Bilibili. But in this video, you'll see a modified rotation by me accounting for the M1 Dialyn diff. For context, M1 Dialyn basically makes her positive diff regeneration way faster, making 2 clap stun rotation possible in some cases, in addition to a restaurant. And here, I want to show you M1 Dialyn is not needed to get the 2 clap stun rotation on Thrall, or in other words, a 3 ultimate stun rotation. We'll get into the how-to details on the second half of the video on the rotation breakdown, but the principle is, every stun window, Yidhari is fully buffed with 2 EX specials, 2 Etherfell's Tentacles, 1 Chain Attack, and 2 ultimate, 1 from Yidhari Disables, and 1 from Dialyn Clap, except for the last stun which you will see soon has 2 Dialyn Clap for 3 ultimate stun rotation. This is a rotation on Season 37, but it will still work for the next Season 38 because the condition on Thrall will stay the same. I call this the perfect M0 rotation because I really do think there is no more way to improve it in the routing perspective, but the execution is still far from perfect. After I got this run, I actually do some run for funsies of recording, and I got like 500 more score in the first half with 2 second faster timing on the miasmic timestamp, because I found out I can fit some more minor attacks in some places. I think I can get as high as 62k with this setup if I grind some more, but for now, let's talk about the build. All of the build is standard except for one thing. Yidhari is on HP percentage 4. Why? Accounting for the DA buff that gives 50% crit damage, on top of the Thrall also taking extra 50% inside stun, plus Dialyn, Lucia, and Yidhari also has some good amount of crit damage buffing. It may also because my HP percentage 4 is insane, 8 substat roll on this 4 is like basically perfect, that this was in my inventory for like almost a year. I was just keeping it because it looks cool but never roll it, because as far as I know, crit damage this 4 was always better than HP for Rapture. But then a while ago I heard Lin saying that HP percent this 4 is better for Thrall this season, so I roll it and bam, 8 substat got this. Maybe fermenting your drive this in the inventory before rolling it is the way to get good drive this. But even then, I tested the crit damage this 4 run with the same substat counts, and the HP percent this 4 still in the lead by a small margin. The idea is that crit damage stat in these fight conditions becomes really saturated because of the DA and stage buff that diversifying the stat to HP becomes better. To fully use the high crit damage buff, I also built Yidhari with 67% crit rate for close to 100% in combat crit rate. Maybe you can get away with 65 crit rate, but seeing some of Yidhari ultimate hit miss crit is just painful for me. To get this rotation right, we really need to plan out Dialyn positive crit regenerations through her EX specials. That means full ER Dialyn build is best here with ERD6 and 2-piece ER. She may also need her signature for the passive ER as well. The next best alternative for it is High Refinement Hellfire Gears. And Lucia is on HPD 6, as the rotation is not that fast, she doesn't really need ERD 6. I'll see you again at the end of the run on the rotation breakdown. Two EX specials, 2 additional ability tentacles, 1 chain attack, and 2 ultimates. Let's review the stun rotation again. First, before stun, Lucia used her EX for Moonlight Refresh, Yidhari fully charged her basic to drain her HP to as low as possible, Dialyn applies her debuff with her EX paper hit, and also refresh her signature and King of Summit buff. Yidhari previous charged basic just hit the boss, summoning her additional ability tentacles, then hold basic Dialyn to stop the stun with Yidhari ultimate, before the tentacles hit the boss, so that the damage from the tentacles also hit inside the stun. After Yidhari ultimate, use her EX charge, don't swap yet, keep holding basic until she hits the ground, then mash the basic button for her to follow up her EX charge with a basic attack. This is an important part for the whole rotation. We'll talk about why soon. Then right the moment Yidhari basic attack fully hits, Dialyn triggered chain with an EX to Yidhari chain attack. This time Yidhari used her Decibel ultimate. Make sure her HP is below 50% before you use her ult here. If not, you can just quickly hold basic to drain her HP before tapping ult. And then one last EX charge before the stun ends, which the last hits also summon her additional ability Tentacles again for the most optimum damage. Now this is the bread and butter on Yidhari advanced gameplay, the manual chain on her first EX charge in the stun. Why not just immediately swap to Dialyn for a chain trigger after? The first reason is more damage, plain and simple. Her follow-up basic after her charge EX has good damage, and using it here is stun duration efficient. But the second, more important reason for the rotation is for adrenaline generation. As you see, the pre-stun in this fight is very short and kind of annoying if Thrall isn't behaving well. And Yidhari really needs to hit her charge basic a lot to regenerate her adrenaline for EX inside stun. What you don't want to happen is Yidhari doesn't have any adrenaline for second EX charge inside the stun. It may not be a problem for stun 1 and stun 2 where Yidhari starts with full adrenaline, but not doing this manual chain gameplay on stun 2 will make a problem on her adrenaline for the third stun. Same thing for the fourth stun as well. It is actually also important to do on the first stun because you want to quickly regenerate her adrenaline so that after the first stun, you can kill Sobek with an EX charge, hit it one more time with normal EX before it flies off, and hit an EX charge inside Miasmic. And when I say we're going to optimize every part of the routing, I really mean we are going to optimize every part of the routing. Yidhari's additional ability of extra EX Tentacles every 12 seconds may not deal as high damage compared to her other main damage source like her EX charge and ultimate, but it serves an important purpose. Timing it at the start of the stun window is nice for the bonus optimized damage inside the stun because the 12-second cooldown lines up pretty well inside the stun. If you time its summon right before the stun start, Yidhari's next tentacle will appear on her second EX charge at the end of stun. The only stun rotation in this run that only has one tentacle summon is the third stun, as the tentacle summon come up early before the stun start, so the only time the tentacle summon on the third stun is after Yidhari's first EX charge. But I think this is fine, and I would say necessary, because timing the tentacle after the stun so that it hits Sobek when it tags in would be a better routing, to ensure Sobek will tag out faster by dealing enough damage, then stagger it with Lucia defensive assist. On the Miasmic scripted phase, it also serves an important purpose of keeping Yidhari Yunkoi's summit stack to full for the third stun. If we time the tentacle to hit on Sobek first charge, that's an EX hit for stack refresh. Then Yidhari parry Sobek plunge with her EX charge, that's an EX hit for a stack refresh. And at the start of the third stun, Yidhari summoned the tentacle with her full charge basic just like the first stun. Now this is an important part of the rotation. I would say this is the first step for you to move from Yidhari beginner rotation to the advanced rotation, because I actually didn't know we could do this on my early time playing Yidhari. If you don't get Yidhari Decibel ultimate on stun 3, then you are missing huge damage on her. This is a strong point for Yidhari compared to every other DPS like Yishuan and Silly. Yidhari is the only DPS that can get 4 stun for ult conventionally on Thrall. The key to this is on Yidhari Decibel Reset. Decibel Reset is when Yidhari already has full 3000 decibels. If you want to get access to her ultimate, you need to find a way ASAP for Yidhari to slam her hammer to the ground to deploy her Etherfail and convert the 3000 decibels to ultimate icon. So Yidhari basically can save an ultimate for a later time, while also generate decibels for the next ultimate. This is important for optimized run because every move and every HP drain you do when Yidhari Decibel is full is basically wasted and can be considered resource negative on the run. On the first stun, you probably will get Yidhari first ultimate after her chain attack, which is good timing. After that, Yidhari will build her decibels back up by draining her HP or by just using moves and getting defensive assists. Then, the most important part for her decibel reset is in the Miasmic phase. At the very late, this EX charge parry should hit Sobek and reset her decibels. After that, you will take a lot of defensive assists, which basically translate to the boss giving you free decibels. That's why it's important for Yidhari to reset her decibels before this point. After taking some defensive assists, Yidhari will start the stun 2 with about 800 decibels. And at the end of stun 2, she will have about 2000 decibels. That should guarantee her getting the next decibel reset at least mid-third stun rotation, which then allows her to be able to start gathering decibels for her fourth ultimate after this. If you don't reset her decibel on the miasmic state and start the second stun with Yidhari full decibels, you'll still get her second decibels ultimate, but after that, there's just no way you'll get the third decibel ultimate on time, because we basically have less than 20 seconds between the end of stun 2 and the start of stun 3. If you take too long on the pre-stun here, you will not have enough time to get a full 4th stun rotation, let alone get the next Yidhari ultimate. And speaking of pre-stun, let's talk about the pre-stun. Do you want to talk about the pre-stun? I really do have a lot to talk about the pre-stun. The first part is not as bad. The first 2 minutes of the run basically plays out almost the same way every time except for some anomaly. The second half pre-stun on the other hand, in the pre-stun we need to quick swap between Dialyn EX specials and Yidhari charge basics, while also waiting for Lucia bar refresh moment. The annoying part here is if Thrall decided to not give you any defensive assist, dodge your attack by backdashing so far away into the edge of the arena, or stun lock you in a defensive assist animation that you missed Dialyn 3rd EX timing, forcing you to start over to EX1. All of this is a reset. We are constrained in a very narrow time window to get into the 3rd stun while also gathering energy before we enter it. If you want Yidhari to get 2 EX charge inside the 3rd stun, you need to at least hit 3 full Yidhari charge basic on the 3rd pre-stun to regenerate enough adrenaline. Basically, my best advice here is just reset until you get the exact boss behavior as I get here. If you take more than 15 seconds getting to the 3rd stun, it's also a reset here. You'll see why later. Now the cherry on top of this rotation, Dialyn 5th clap for Yidhari 9th ultimate. I do have to say you should aim for this only if you can already consistently get the previous element mentioned. Focusing on getting 2 of Yidhari EX charge and a decibel ultimate on each stun first is better. I consider this is the highest level of mastery for Yidhari Dialyn team. What we want to do is for Dialyn to get a 5th clap at the very least 2 seconds before the fight ends, so Yidhari 9th ultimate hits fully. To get a clap here, Dialyn positive review needs to at least get to 90. And when she claps, she will consume 60 post-ref. We know that every second in combat, Dialyn regenerates positive review passively 0.6 per second, and every of her EX hits also generates 7.5 post-ref. Inside the last stun, Dialyn should have just enough energy to fit in 4 EX specials if she has her signature. As you've seen, she used 2 EX to trigger chain for 15, and 2 EX at the last moment for another 15 post-ref, so 30 post-ref in total can be generated inside the 4th stun. At the start of stun 4, Dialyn needs to have close to full 120 post-ref, and she should use her 4th clap at the very least on the 15-second timestamp, or else Yidhari last ultimate will not hit fully. But to get Dialyn post-ref to be full at this 15-second timestamp, it depends heavily on your 3rd stun rotation and timing. You need to do your Dialyn 3rd clap on the 3rd stun at the very least on the 55-second timestamp. If you start the 3rd stun or clap later than this, you will not have enough post-ref for Dialyn last clap. And between Dialyn 3rd clap and 4th clap, she also needs to use her EX special 6 times to get enough post-ref for the 15-second timestamp. Basically, get your 3rd stun with Dialyn clap not later than 55-second timestamp, and get your 4th stun with Dialyn clap not later than the 15-second timestamp. If you do any of it later than those time target, then you will either not have enough time for Yidhari last ultimate or not enough post-ref for the last clap. Needless to say, you wouldn't stress this part out if you have M1 Dialyn, as 3 of her EX specials on the last stun should be enough to build back post-ref for another clap. But the point I want to make here is that M0 team can achieve rotation that most people would thought only M1 team can do.